All right, we're going to try this again. Hello, hello, hello. Let's see if we've got that right video on there. See, I knew something was going wrong. Things were going too easy tonight. There we go. That looks much better. Now you guys aren't going to be... There we go. You're not going to be seeing this sideways. Good evening. Happy Sunday night. I hope everybody had an amazing weekend. I know I did. Hey, Amy. Hey, Karen. Thanks for joining. If you're here, give me a shout out. Let me know where you're watching from. If you're watching the replay on YouTube, give me a like and a shout out. Let me know where you're watching from. And yeah, happy Sunday. Thanks, Susan. Hey, thanks, Angie. This is Tara with Tarabeth Stamps. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator here in mid-Missouri. And I'm going to do a live video tonight, just a small tutorial. It's a pretty easy card, but it's featuring some products that have been around for a couple of months that are only going to be around for a couple of more months. This afternoon, I was kind of laying out my schedule and looking how things are doing. Hey, Mary, thanks for joining. And I couldn't believe that this mini catalog it only has like 2 months and 2 days left. So it's gone by in a flash, and I've really enjoyed using some of these products. Today, one of the project items I'm using today is the Fancy Flora DSP, and I see tons and tons of beautiful cards out there made with this, but I will be honest, this DSP has me a little stumped. I think it's beautiful. I definitely had to have it from the very beginning. It has stayed at, hey Meredith, thanks for joining. It stayed in the package this whole time just because it kind of intimidates me. So sometimes there's going to be projects like that. So I encourage you to go out on YouTube and Pinterest and kind of Google search and see what you can find that people are using it for, and hopefully it can spark up some of those inspirations. So hopefully that's what I'm doing for somebody today. So we're going to use that Fancy Flora as well as the Marigold Moment bundle, which is absolutely beautiful. Hey, Lori, thanks for joining. So this is a really beautiful set, and this is just a pretty easy thank you card, just with a small peek of that DSP down at the bottom from the inside. So, and then it's also featuring one of the basic 3D embossing folders that will be available, I believe it's Wednesday. So tomorrow is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yes, Wednesday. It'll be available to the public. This is one of those sets that you have to have in your supplies if you're a card maker, especially if you do use any embossing folders. So this 3D embossing folder set, here is what it looks like. So you get 3 of these beautiful embossing folders, and I should have gone ahead and embossed a little bit, but you have these polka dots, which are gorgeous. Let me see if I can get it popped open here so you can kind of see what's going on. So beautiful, beautiful polka dots, which I always love. Then there's this star flower pattern. And then the one that we're using today is kind of, it looks like a fabric sort of background to me. And that's what really drives me. I love these. I love this subtle embossing folder. It was my very favorite. Yes, Angie, you're right. They're so simple. You can just add these to any card. It is a perfect go-to. So you can start getting those on Wednesday. All right. So I'm going to set that out of the way. And then we're going to get down to the card making. Oh, I didn't score my card base. All right, well this is, we'll just start out with doing that. So this is a 4 1/4 piece of soft suede. Cut it 4 1/4 and 9 1/2. And those measurements will, as always, be on my blog tomorrow. And I'm going to score that just at 5 1/2. And so this isn't, we've cut off the bottom just to kind of make that little peekaboo section. So there we go. I'm going to set my envelope over there. Then I'm going to pull out my card bases, my cardstock, to do a little stamping first. All right. I thought I had a smaller piece of this. All right, so this is going to be the inside that we're going to use. And the first thing I'm going to do is probably going to stamp the inside, but then we'll adhere this DSP. So I'm just going to kind of set it down there and just kind of eyeball where I want it at. Hey, Rosie, thanks for joining. I hope you guys had an amazing weekend. I myself did. I haven't been to work since Wednesday, so that's pretty awesome. Had a couple of days to myself, but it was much needed. All right, I'm going to ink this stamp set up. This is stamp up with some Evening Evergreen. And I've got that, just kind of that DSP sitting there just so I can kind of eyeball where I want it. All right. So this is going to go on the inside. Set that out of the way. Hopefully I don't get my fingers all in it. Hey Karen, hey Lisa, thanks for joining, guys. All right, so just a small piece of this Fancy Flora DSP. And so the cool thing about using it like this is, you know, sometimes you use it, and this is available in a 6x6. So if you happen to use, you know, 4 1/4 by 5 3/8, or you use part of it for a card base, it's really nice to use these small strips on these inside cards like this. It's a great way to make your DSP go far. All right, so now I'm going to mat that inside with just a little Calypso Coral. And I'm using Stampin' Seal tonight just because the more I use it, the more I love it. All right, here we go. So I'm just making sure that I have a nice even edge. Hey, Susan, thanks for joining. All right, so that's going to be the inside. We'll just go ahead and put it in there. That way it's out of the way. Kind of going about this backwards, but that's okay. All right. So I'm just making sure that I've got that nice even edge all the way around and hearing it down. I'm going to fold that over. And so that's what creates that little peekaboo, is that we just had that smaller card base. And as I said, this will be available on my blog tomorrow with all the dimensions. All right, so now what I have is I have another piece of Calypso Coral, and I've already embossed. Oh, thanks, Susie, for the shout out. Yeah, grab my YouTube channel. So you'll see that this is a beautiful pattern that's just very subtle. And it doesn't even matter which side you use. Like I used this side earlier, but I think I'm going to flip it over and see which one I like best. It's the same, but it is different. If that makes any sense. Because you've got one side embossed and one side debossed when you use that dry embossing folder. All right, so I'm just going to make sure I have that even edge with my seal before I start pushing it down. I will tell you, if you're using the Stampin' Seal and not the Stampin' Seal Plus, you do have just a minute to kind of pull it up gently. If you find that your alignment's not perfect. So what I kind of do is I kind of go start at one corner and do from the top to the bottom, and then go to the other corner, and usually it just lays right on down. So this is our card base. Little Calypso Coral with some soft suede. All right, next we're gonna bring in a piece of Very Vanilla. And I have that Calypso Coral ink that I'm going to use with the Marigold Moments Stamp Set. So what I'm going to do is I like to do the outlines first and then do the solid. Now there's a couple of different ways that you can do this, and let me show you. I did some playing around with it this afternoon. Oh, here it is. And I couldn't decide when I was doing this if I wanted to do Calypso Coral with Calypso Coral, or if I wanted to do Calypso Coral with Pale Papaya. So with these two stamp sets, what you'll want to do is you'll want to do, you know, the outlines normally in the darker, bolder color. And sometimes what you can do is you can do the same color, just do a second generation stamp. And that means that you ink that stamp set up, stamp it off on another sheet of paper, and then stamp it. And that's considered your second generation. That first stamp is the first generation. The second stamp is the second generation. And that creates this beautiful tone on tone that I really like. So that's what we did. All right, so as I said, I like to do the outline first. And what you'll find is that every stamper does it different. It's best to just find your own way. Give it a good clean image. And then I'm gonna clean it off because I only have one of these blocks, these big ones. I could have always used my Stamparatus. This is a perfect stamp set to use with that. But I do like this large block because I think it's pretty easy to use. All right, so as I said, this is the solid one, and this is the one we're gonna do the second time. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make sure that I ink it up really well. So these solid stamps, sometimes you don't get a good ink coverage the first time. All right, so I'm gonna bring that in. I'm gonna stamp that off. And then I'm gonna line it up. And the best thing you can do is just kind of look for these spots, like right here. I don't know if you guys can see that, but where there's holes to kind of guide you along. Okay. Oh, that looks so pretty. All right, let's shut that and get that out of the way. Then we'll do a few stems. Whoops. If you guys saw my desk, you would completely cringe. There's so much stuff on it, it's not even funny. Does your desk... Hey, Jamie Sue, no big deal. Thanks for joining. Hey, Dawn, thanks for joining. All right, so we're going to stamp up some leaves here and stamp it with the Evening Evergreen, and then I'm going to bring out this little stamp guy. Now, I have a lot of blocks. Like I said, I only have that one large block, but I have a lot of these little blocks that I get for my paper pumpkin or kit sets. I don't think we pay enough attention with that, but normally our kits have these great blocks that you can get, and they're a perfect size. They're a perfect size for your hands, and that's an additional value, in my opinion, with our kits, is that you get those awesome blocks that you can use later on. Okay. Oh, and I'll do the sentiment. Let's do that too. All right, so this thanks is from the Marigold Moments Stamp Set as well. I'm gonna die cut it with Something Fancy's die set. All right, I've got my little cut and emboss machine, so I'm gonna have to cut this paper down a little bit because it only takes a 4x4. All right, so I'm gonna use my boho blue mini cut and emboss. Now remember, this is available just for 2 more days during celebration. And that's if you join my team. And the awesome thing is, this is, if you were to buy one of these, like in the white, let me see here if you guys can see that. If you buy this in the white, it's $63, I think, is what the value is in the catalog and online. $63. So you could join for $29, and then you would get your choice of this machine in a boho blue or a white, and $175 worth of merchandise. Oh, Karen, it is 63. Thank you. And you get a paper pumpkin, not the current one, they usually do a past one, and free shipping. So if you've got a list that's pretty long and you realized, holy cow, like I did earlier, this catalog's only going to be around for 2 more months, that may be the way to grab some stuff. And so when I tell people about this, they ask me, well, yeah, but I don't want to sell. I don't like to do that. Well, I'm not really a salesperson either, although I kind of sound like one right now. But what I do love is coupons. And I consider being a demonstrator kind of like using a coupon, like you would at Hobby Lobby. You know, everybody used to love Hobby Lobby coupons, and I don't think you can even get them now. But you could use that coupon and get 20% off on every item you purchase as long as you stay active. So if that's something that interests you, let me know. Give me a shout out. All right. So Stampin' Up had a couple of complaints on the boho machine. I'm not going to lie to you. They said people were having problems cranking it and getting it to work. I will be honest, I haven't really had that issue. But I've always had a mini machine that I liked on my desk. And so when Stampin' Up released their mini machine, I definitely got theirs, got rid of the one I had. And it's because I'm super lazy, and when I'm crafting, I want to be able to just sit right here and craft and listen to an audiobook or watch some TV and just crank away. So what they have told us is to recommend that when you are putting your sandwich in, to make it like an E. So you're going to see how I do this. So there's your E. Your base plate and your top plate are hanging off a little bit further, and that middle plate is kind of hanging back. And that's something that I had already been doing. I just didn't know how to describe it. So, all right, now I'm going to grab this beautiful little angled die cut from this Something Fancy, Something Fancy die set. The other thing I'm going to show you with my machine, my mini machine, is I don't use tape or anything on this. Oh, or classic country, Karen, you're darn right. I like to slip this in and clamp it down and kind of squeeze my thumb on top before I start rolling. And that kind of gets that going, kind of gets it through there a little bit. And it doesn't shift and shimmy. So that's one of my take-home tips. All right, I think I've done all the die cutting I need to do. So I'll set this out of the way. Somewhere in this disaster I got going on here. Okay, so like we're really close to being done tonight, guys. All right, so I think the way the company has it is they've got your flower like this, if you look online. So I kind of played around with it. I liked it more at an angle. And I'm going to bring some Stampin' Dimensionals in here. Okay. And well, there's 3 right there together. Well, that one's stuck. It's not going anywhere. We'll just have to let that be good. All right. There we go. Just gonna set that right there like that. And then I'm gonna use a whole one and one of these half ones over here. And then I'm gonna try to find where I like it to hang out at. I think I'm going to go right about there. There we go. And then we'll add some of these additional leaves here. I wonder if I have. I do. Some minis. I bought some of these mini dimensionals a few months ago. And I really didn't think that I needed them. But I ordered them by accident. You know, have you ever done that? Ordered something, whoops, wrong thing. But I really dig them. All right. We'll put a little leaf there because we don't want our flowers just floating out and making them look like they are just hanging out there. All right. We'll put this one. Kind of just going around, seeing where I think it should go. There we go. All right. Now, we're going to put a dimensional on half of the sentiment. I'm going to flip it over and make sure I put it on the right side. And then we're going to put a little liquid adhesive on the other end. You guys are trying to decide what music you like to listen to? My kids would laugh and tell you that I like to watch white trash TV too. So I'm a reality TV junkie, and Netflix is famous at it. So I like to watch that too. All right, so shimmer ribbon, this gold shimmer ribbon, I believe this is in the annual catalog, maybe a carryover from last Christmas. This stuff is beautiful, and it makes some really pretty bows. So we're going to tie a bow here on camera, hopefully. I won't make a total mess of it. All right, the way I'm going to do this bow is I'm just going to make a small loop with my tail hanging out. I'm going to bend it back and make almost those bunny ears like we did when we were kids, tying our tennis shoes. All right. Now I gotta do it in slow-mo here. I'm going to cross over and tuck it under. Loop and swoop, I think is what they used to tell us. Loop, swoop, and pull. All right. So I'm gonna clean up my bow a little bit, and then I'm going to tie it real tight, and then I'm going to pull it just a little bit. So you kind of have to clean it up first and then tighten it up, and then you'll have to clean it up again. But that one's not too bad. But what makes it easy is the Stampin' Up ribbon. Some of it's not great about making bows, but this particular spool of it is fantastic. All right, so I'm going to make sure my tails are pretty close to the same size. I'm going to try to cut the angles the same on the ribbon. Hold on a second. I think I have some ribbon shears around here. Those scissors just aren't doing it. These are my mom's little quilting scissors. If she knew they were in my paper room, she would die. But that's okay. All right, I've got a thing of glue dots here. I'm gonna pull one out and just pop it right on the back. I found some of those old glue dots that have them on the back of the side. I'm digging them. All right, we will put that there. And then we're going to finish off with a couple of embellishments, and then we will be done. So I've got the pastel adhesive backed sequins. So I think that's maybe Tahitian Tide and Blushing Bride maybe, and then gold. The gold are so pretty. I love them. All right. Now we're going to use a couple of these smaller ones. I'm using my Take Your Pick tool just to pick those up, and that way it's super easy to get them. Hey, Vicki, thanks for joining. We're just about done, but you can watch the replay. All right. Now all we have to do is oh, my bow's not sticking. Maybe we'll find another glue dot here. Well, I'm glad you're liking it, Karen. Thank you. All right, there we go. Make that bow sit there like that. I've got a very vanilla envelope, and we're just going to use a little liquid adhesive just to go around the edge of that flap. Piece of that fancy floral DSP that coordinates. Give it a nice push. Make sure I don't grab Mom's quilting scissors. And all right. Now, 2 more days of celebration. That's it. 48 hours essentially. So you don't want to miss that. 2 days to sign up to get the awesome special. So here's your card. We only have 2 months of the mini catalog, so don't forget that. My dimensions and directions will all be available on my blog. Thanks so much for hanging out with me tonight. I appreciated it more than you know. If you're here and you liked it, give me a shout out. I appreciate all the comments. I will be back again next week on Sunday night, 7 o'clock, same time, same place. You guys have an amazing week, and thanks for sharing your time with me.